It's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It's the Prep Queen Pod. We're on for the next hour, loaded with guests today. We're here to help you get into the weekend, start the new year off strong. Hope you all had a very good New Year's. Happy New Year's to everybody. I'm excited for 2026. So many really fun things to come for the Prop Queen. Today, the fun starts with Mid-Major Matt. In the next 4 minutes, we'll talk an NFL props early look into the weekend, week 18. We've also got college football bowl games, 8 p.m. Eastern time games in the bowl world tonight. Matt will talk about those. We also gave those out on the PropQueen.com newsletter this morning. If you're a subscriber, you were able to get the Mid-Major Matt newsletter, breaking down all 4 of the bowl games that started earlier this afternoon. That's 5:10. 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, Tom Vecchio will join the show. Tom's going to give us his NFL props for the weekend. 5:40 p.m. Eastern time, Steve Merril from over at WagerTalk telling us everything about the NBA for tonight. A big slate in the association. Later, Prop Queen Edges today. Not only will we have propaganda, which was released by BetMGM already today for the props, the most bet on ones of the weekend. I've got the incentives. If you haven't already, I was giving out the NFL Week 18 cheat sheet. All free subscribers at thepropqueen.com can get it. So if you sign up and you don't have it, it's a huge newsletter that is filled with a PDF document of every Week 18 NFL game with the implications, whether it's for NFL draft positioning, whether it's for the playoff seeding, whether it's for the number 1 seed, or to just make the playoffs. I've also got all the contract incentives for each game in there. It's all in one place. So if you need it, go to thepropqueen.com, subscribe. It's free, and you can find it on the website. We'll go through it today, though, so you can see everything that is in the PDF document, and I'll show it to you in the Prop Queen Edges of the day. We definitely have to make some money today. We did have bowl games today in the college football playoff. How about that? I can't wait to get Matt's thoughts on the college football playoff, too. I'm not even a big college football person. Last night's game, Georgia blew in the lead in the fourth quarter. The fact that Georgia even wasn't in the lead in the beginning of the game, and Ole Miss, through all their drama, Ole Miss had all the drama with Lane Kiffin leaving, the coaching staff, and yet they still have found ways to win, upsetting Georgia as a 6.5-point underdog yesterday. The Bama game in the middle of the day, super boring, and it was the closest spread. Interesting enough. And then the early game, too, I think I fell asleep. I was tired. New Year's, maybe. New Year's. Miami all the way. Yeah, Miami crazy. That's the thing, too. We don't get the revenge spot from Miami and Georgia with Carson Beck. So that's a storyline that we did not receive. But we did have a crazy, Ohio State getting upset, Georgia getting upset. Pretty much everyone except Indiana, to Mid-Major Matt's point earlier this week. And last week, Mid-Major Matt said, I'm nervous for these top seeds. Matt said, don't bank on the top seeds winning and covering. It hasn't really been happening historically. And who would have thought out of all the teams, if a year ago you said it was Indiana that would prevail in that situation? Out of all freaking programs in sports, in college sports, it's Indiana. Not Georgia, not Ohio State, but it was Indiana. Gosh, the school that was supposed to be a basketball school. And remember, for anyone who doesn't, the person that made it a basketball school was John Harbaugh's brother-in-law. Out of all people. It all ties back to my Ravens, who are going to play on Sunday and ruin my life, probably. I have to tweet out about the show being live, and I'll do that because I'm going to bring our next guest on, Mid-Major Matt, joining the show as he does every single Friday. Matt, initial thoughts from the quarterfinals of the college football playoff?
Clearly the buys mattered, as we talked about on the show. If you listen, we said take Miami in the first quarter. It was last week, or maybe it was Monday, whatever it was. I think it was.
You're having a hell of a college football playoff, Mr. 17-3 in bowl season.
Yeah, 17-3 and posted bowl plays on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt, tracked on the Action Network app. So it's all nobody can question any of that stuff. But yeah, look, I think Miami's. Miami's the best team probably left, I think, even better than Indiana. It's so funny because you just mentioned it. It's still weird to me to realize that Indiana is number 1 and a really good football team. It's really weird to me. It's like if I'm trying to think. It's like if Boston College all of a sudden became a #1 seed in college basketball. Like it's just not. We're not used to this. But
No.
Indiana looked really good against Alabama. They took care of business. Now, granted, there was a slow start there. If you took the first quarter with the underdogs, I think that I forget what the score was at the end of the first quarter of the Ole Miss Georgia game, but like the first quarter, the teams that played the week before or 2 weeks before, they all covered the first quarter. It was a bit of a sweat at the end of the Indiana Alabama first quarter because Indiana didn't kick the field goal until the second quarter. But yeah, it was slow starts for a lot of the teams that did not play for a month, and I think college football has to change that. It's something they're going to have to look to when they work on the calendar, but it definitely had an effect on some teams.
Joe Dollar says he thinks it was a coincidence for the buys. He thinks all the best teams won.
So look, obviously Texas Tech, whenever we talked about Texas Tech on the show, we said they couldn't settle for field goals. Well, they never even got in the range for the most part of field goals. Their offense just didn't show up. The defense was on the field way too much. And so you could probably make the case for that game. Look, I don't know if Miami's better than Ohio State. We did say that we thought that line was very fishy at 9.5. But we obviously thought, Vegas knows that everybody thinks that line's fishy. That one's closer than all the others. Yeah, Indiana is definitely better than Alabama, and I don't think Ole Miss is better than Georgia. I think Georgia just is an inconsistent team whose defense showed up for parts of the season and didn't show up for other parts of the season. So that one,
yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. That one I'm not as sure about with regards to who's better. I still think Georgia wins that game like 80 times out of 100. But it's the format's going to have to change a little bit. That's all. And we're going to have to see a tighter schedule somewhat. It's like baseball. I mean, what do we see in baseball? The teams with the bye in baseball that first round, they struggle in that first round. The Phillies.
Well, the difference at least, and they do struggle anyway. At least in baseball, you have a few games to prove yourself and try to get hot again. You've got one and you're done. And we still have another long break till we get to the semis.
Yeah. I think 2 weeks max. If that, like, I think that and it's really tough because I love keeping the Army-Navy game the spotlight of the weekend when it comes to college football, but we might be getting to the point soon where we can't, and we have to move things back a little bit, more week 0 games, stuff like that, or actually turn week 0 into week 1. But look, the NCAA does everything wrong when it comes to the calendar. The transfer portal being open. There's a story right now that Ole Miss's assistant coaches may not stay and may go to LSU now because they have to eventually start recruiting and doing stuff for LSU.
So I just don't understand. Isn't the goal to win? If you're on a team that's currently winning, what the hell is going on at Ole Miss that they want to leave and not potentially win? You are in the semis.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. But Lane Kiffin is psycho. I mean, Lane Kiffin
he's making a ton of money doing nothing. That's nice.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. So that makes it even worse. Like, I think Ole Miss is a great story, and I would root for Ole Miss, but LSU is paying Lane Kiffin for every round that Ole Miss makes. So, like, I can't even root for Ole Miss despite Lane Kiffin. It's tough. By the way, Joe, we're not kicking the bowls to the curb. The bowls are awesome. Just because we have some bad ones, but like bowls are awesome. We cannot get rid of the bowl games. I'm sorry, Joe.
We've got 2 bowl games coming up tonight. Do either of them intrigue you?
So here's the interesting thing for both of them. First off, you've got Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Wake Forest, and it's the Mayo Bowl. And unlike the Pop-Tarts Bowl, where I enjoy watching the Pop-Tarts Bowl because there's a lot of Pop-Tarts. I like Pop-Tarts. I despise mayo. So every time they go to the booth and try a new product with mayo, it makes me physically ill. So I don't enjoy that game as much. Here's the thing. So on the Wake Forest side, their running back, 2 of their wide receivers, and their best defensive tackle are not playing. On the Mississippi State side, you have just one player who's not playing in this game as of now. Who knows what happens right before the start time? But the question mark for Mississippi State is we have no idea who the defensive coordinator is because they fired their defensive coordinator and a lot of the assistants are gone too. So, like, we don't know who's going to be the defensive coordinator. The new guy's not going to do it. So this is a classic case of Mississippi State should be able to take advantage of a Wake Forest team losing a lot of weapons. But their defense, I have no idea what's going to happen with their defense. On the offensive side of things, I like Kamario Taylor, who's going to be the starting quarterback for Mississippi State. But Wake's defense, outside of losing a defensive tackle, is pretty much intact. So I don't have anything in that game right now. It could be a good live betting situation for that one. And then the other game, SMU and Arizona. Here's the caveat for that game: Brent Brennan, who is the head coach of Arizona, said, "I'm not telling you who's opting out. I'm not giving it a competitive advantage to SMU. And here's the interesting thing. They were about a 3-point favorite earlier in the week. They're now an underdog. So somebody knows who's not going to be in this game. And apparently it's large enough that it's affecting the line. So there could be great value right now. As Arizona's, if this is a week 3 game, Arizona's a better team. Arizona wins outright. If I knew Arizona's stars were going to play in this game, Noah Fafita, Hudson at wide receiver, like several of the other guys, Mahdi at running back, like if I knew they were playing, I'd take Arizona. SMU is the worst pass defense in the country. Arizona has one of the best pass defenses in the country. But I don't know. Like, this is going to be one of those things when the guys run out on the field, like, who's going to be lining up? Like, if we find out that first drive for Arizona, that their starting quarterback, running back, and wide receivers are out there, I'd run and make a live bet on Arizona because they're better than SMU. Problem is, we have no idea who is opting out of this game.
That's why the chat said they feel they should cut the bowls down, maybe just not have too many.
No. The bowls are my favorite thing. I love bowls. And I think it's funny because the first couple bowls were terrible, but like we've had a string of very good bowl games. And there's a lot of teams who enjoy being in these bowl games. I think we let Notre Dame passing on a bowl game kind of sour us on the bowl experience. Like these kids.
There's 2 tiers of teams. There's the teams that have the college football playoff aspirations. Then there are the teams that know that they're just lucky to become bowl eligible. I covered ECU for so many years, despite the fact they have one of the most delusional fan bases in the world, and I love them all. But they know that they're lucky to just be in a good bowl game. They know that college football playoff is a reach.
Yeah, but I just, it's all in the eye of the beholder.
Those are the teams with incentive to play. Syracuse didn't want to play in the NIT.
Well, Syracuse is a miserable program right now, and I wouldn't want to have them.
Even with Boeheim, there was a year they just missed. They were like on the bubble. They just missed the cut for making March Madness, and they opted out of the NIT. Yep. Those kinds of programs, though, it's March Madness or bust. College football playoff or bust. That's why I don't understand Ole Miss.
See, I just disagree. I watched a lot of bowl games this year where the kids were trying really hard and they were really motivated to be in their game. And like you saw, like, look at did you watch the highlights of the Duke Arizona State game? How the kids kept jumping into the bowl of Frosted Flakes on the sideline? Like those 2 teams were really excited to be there. Like there's a lot of bowl games that are very good. I get that there are a lot of bowl games that are terrible, but like the bowl system needs to stay. Now, if you want to tweak it, if you want to put an NIL component to a lot of the bowl games, that's great. Then you won't have opt-outs. If you're
they tried to do that with college basketball.
Well, yeah, and that's why the Players Classic is the best tournament, because there's an NIL component. And we may see the Maui Invitational and some of these other ones put an NIL component. But if you don't want anybody to opt out of the Tony the Tiger Bowl, have Kellogg's put up $1 million to the winning team of NIL money, but you have to play in the game. Like, that's all. And I think some bowls may eventually do that.
Gosh, it's such a business these days in college football and in college sports in general. It's always a business in the NFL, and we've got games tomorrow. We've got games Sunday. Let's take a look at your props. Rachaad White, over 11.5 rushing yards. Why?
I mean, I have to, you know, and the people who watch this show loyally do, I'm a guy who likes the backups. I think the books throw these guys out there because they don't expect anybody to bet them. If you look at what Rachaad White has done, first off, the last couple games, he's close to 50% snap count. So like he's out there. And so that's always been one of the things for me when I look at the NFL props, especially the auxiliary guys. How much are they playing? Like you look, the last game, okay, he had 2 carries for 10 yards. That's not great. But if you go before that, he had 5 carries against Carolina for 45, 1 carry for 20, 11 for 53. I don't think Tampa Bay trusts their defense enough in this game. So I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more than throwing it. Baker Mayfield's on a slump. Like he's been bad lately. And so Bucky Irving's going to get his. Sean Tucker is going to get his down by the end zone, but like when they need to take Bucky out, it's Rachaad White. And so like I'm getting a good number here. And by the way, if you notice, I believe I sent it to you. I think it's MGM has 11.5. It's 12.5 in a lot of places. And I think in this case, a yard matters. So make sure to look at all your specific books to see what the difference is. Because with the auxiliary guys, I do think a yard makes a difference. So I'm pretty sure Rachaad White, as I sent you, was an MGM bet. And it makes the difference, the 1 yard.
No, it does. I always like to bet the best lines. Even if it's instead of a -110, I could get a better number for -130. I'm willing to do it. -145, I start to question, okay, can I just lay -110 on the next number? There are situations that I absolutely Would love to get, especially someone like Rachaad White or a longest reception prop. Every yard counts. Every reception is going to count in this game too. Obviously, whoever wins this goes on to the playoffs. Whoever loses ends up going home. Panthers, Bucks, Bucks wide receiver Chris Godwin over 3.5 receptions. Why is he going to? And this kind of feels a little low, but like you said, Baker Mayfield struggled a bit.
Godwin is hot right now. 5-4, 5-7 his last 4 games. He's had 8 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets, 8 targets. Like it's the weather's not going to be the greatest. There's going to be wind. I believe a potential for a little bit of rain in this game. Shorter throws. You have he's going to. This is not one of these games where we're feeding Mike Evans to get him 1,000 yards. We can't. He's not going to get 800 yards receiving. So we're going to get an honest effort from Baker Mayfield in this game. And I think he goes to Chris Godwin a lot. I think Godwin is busy in this game. And I think the chemistry is there in this situation. Baker's going to go to the guys he trusts. That's why down the stretch, he has not gone to Egbuka as much. But Egbuka is not running as many routes as Chris Godwin is. So, I think I'm going to play the trend here and take the over on him. I was heavily debating because DraftKings has a combination bet between Godwin and Coker receiving yards. I think Coker has a pretty good game for Carolina because there's a weakness in the slot for Tampa Bay. I think it was 76.5 receiving yards.
Tight ends in this game, especially because the last game they weren't relevant. And I always love to bet something that didn't happen in game 1.
The problem is the tight ends for the most part aren't relevant in these. I mean, you got Sanders, who I know got hurt for Carolina, so it's Tommy Tremble.
Cade Otton, you never know.
Yeah, Cade Otton's either 4 receptions or 0. So this is why I'm going to bet more on Godwin than Cade Otton. I think Godwin's more reliable. 3.5's a little bit more than I want. I'm more of a receptions person than a yards person for the most part, but I like his over on his receptions. He's hot right now.
Merril said weather's supposed to be bad in Tampa.
Another reason why I like Rachaad White, because Rachaad White, if there's going to be a lot of I don't like the Carolina running backs as much. We've talked about Tampa Bay as a pass funnel team. So if the weather was better, I would probably look at Bryce Young's attempts or whatever. But with the weather not being as good and Tampa Bay being a pass funnel. I looked into
those Bryce Young attempts. His numbers 29.5 and 30.5. He had 32 in the last game. I don't like that.
Oh, that's so tight.
Yeah. It's tight. And also he went over the last game. Bucks do allow a decent amount of pass attempts per game in a rainy situation in a game already. When it already hit the last game and you're not giving me a 31.5, 32.5, you're giving me a 30.5, 29.5, I'm going to be skeptical.
Right. And the weather plays a factor.
It was 2 weeks ago.
The weather plays a factor. I mean, with a playoff berth on the line, are you going to have Bryce Young throwing it 30 plus times in bad weather? I don't think you are. The problem is you're going to struggle with the run. Because they're just going to load up the box. I mean, outside of McMillan, who are you doubling?
Rico Dowdle makes $250K if he scores 2 touchdowns.
He's not scoring 2 touchdowns.
Just saying.
By the way, the incentive things, I saw somebody just bring that up, Casbra. The incentive thing was great. We probably did this on your podcast a couple of years ago, but we can't.
Yeah, it was great a couple of years ago.
You can't do it anymore.
No. There are certain spots, I'll talk about it at the end of the show. There are certain spots we probably can find a little bit of an edge. I'm not going to go crazy and bet them all, and I don't think you can. They're going to overly juice it, and the numbers are spot on.
And there might be opportunities where you actually could take the under and still hit the incentive.
You know what was interesting, Kicker Whisperer? Nick Folk needs 2 field goals to also make some money. I have to find the exact amount. It was in the cheat sheet that I gave out. But I'm curious. Oh, here it is. Jets kicker Nick Folk needs 2 field goals to make $125K.
Yeah, but it's the Jets, though.
Yeah.
I don't trust the Jets.
But that's the thing. It's the Jets. So if you can get to the 45, 40, you might just send Nick Folk out. I mean, they're facing the Bills, who are going to
Their owner's cheap. Their owner's cheap. He's not. No, he might call down and say, you can't do that and go for it every 4th down.
I'm just saying, it was Kicker Whisperer info. That's all. There aren't really many incentives we could probably play, and they're going to be overly juiced, but it's still fun to look at them and compare numbers. Brock Purdy's incentive is to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. You like him over 1.5 touchdowns against the Seattle Seahawks. How come?
Once again, he's hot. 3 touchdowns so far this season. Now, you can kind of look at that first game of the season, but you really, I mean, they're completely different teams from the first week of the season when they played last, but Brock Purdy had 2 touchdowns in that game. I think Seattle is very overrated. I really do. And I guess this could be famous last words for me, the Eagles fan, although we're not going to see Seattle in the first round. And since they're going to lose probably first round, we won't see them later on in the playoffs. But like, I think this defense got happy off of really bad offenses all year long. And we've seen any offense with a pulse has had a chance to move the ball in Seattle. So obviously, look, there's going to be a lot of McCaffrey, but Brock Purdy's hot right now. And I was very surprised to see the 1.5. I half expected the over 2.5 and have it be very heavily juiced to the under. But at 1.5, I'm going to take a chance on the trend right now and take Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns against an overrated defense.
A lot of injuries to the 49ers this year, offensively and defensively. Demarcus Robinson, you're going over this very low number of 9.5 receiving yards. How much does that have to do with the injuries on the offensive side of the ball?
I mean, it mostly has to do with, once again, he's got about 35 to 40% of the snaps with this wide receiving crew. And if you look, he's paying off his time out there. I'm pulling it up now. He's paying off the last 3 games. He's had 2 receptions apiece, 36, 23, and 30. And the key here is he's had a receptions that's longer than this number. He had a 30-yard reception, a 22-yard reception, and a 25-yard reception. So the snap count I wish was a little bit higher, but he's a veteran. He gets long receptions. And once again, 9.5 yards. This one is on FanDuel, I believe. It's 10.5 in a lot of other places. You get that 1 yard difference on FanDuel, but like Demarcus Robinson's a veteran. He has long receptions. He's playing about 35 to 40% of the snaps. Give me a shot on the low number here with a guy that's the 3rd wide receiver. I read this is not a Ricky Pearsall game. This is potentially Kittle and McCaffrey and hopefully Demarcus Robinson.
I have a great Kittle trend, but I'm saving it for the end of the show. My favorite trend of probably this season. Hopefully George Kittle will play. Who out of these important games, obviously both games tomorrow important, Ravens Steelers important, who are you confident in?
Well, I told you last week, I said, if Lamar Jackson plays, I'm taking Pittsburgh. All the stories that have come out and all the stuff surrounding him, and did he actually physically say, I saw a headline that says, I don't quit on my team. Like, did he physically have to tell everybody in the media that he doesn't quit on the Ravens? Did you hear that?
I have to know what the question was because you never know how they try to frame it.
So I think that the Lamar era in Baltimore is getting close to ending, whether it's this year or next year.
Yeah, Harbaugh's era is going to end first.
But see, I think the players are going to be tired of him. Like he's always sitting. Was it Wednesday? He always sits. If Tyler Huntley was playing, I'd be all over the Ravens. I think they rally around him. I think they play better with him. I think Lamar is such a wild card. He could play really well. Don't get me wrong. But when he plays bad, his bad is so bad. And look, Aaron Rodgers is 97 years old. But in a game like this, if you said to me, who do I trust, Lamar or Aaron Rodgers? I trust Aaron Rodgers 1,000%. Granted, he has no one to throw to. The whole DK Metcalf stuff sucks for them. But I trust Aaron Rodgers a lot more than I do Lamar Jackson. I trust Mike Tomlin more than I do Harbaugh. So since Lamar's playing, I like the Steelers plus the 4, and then I might sprinkle on the money line. I think that they're the better team with Lamar out there right now.
I am nervous that the Ravens are going to win. My dad's going to force me to go to Baltimore and watch this team play in the freezing frickin' cold. And I am
who?
What?
Who are they lined up? Who do you think they'd be lined up with?
It doesn't matter. They'd still be at home, and I would still have to sit in the freezing cold and probably watch them lose. Because here's what would happen. Lamar could have the game of his freaking life tomorrow, look amazing, and then it won't continue into the freaking wild card.
Listen,
That's what I think. I don't know who they'd be lined up with. I mean, I'd have to see the standings. I have to bring Tom on the show. I think, oh, God. I don't know. Is it Buffalo?
I don't know.
The Chargers.
I thought it was interesting that they said they might play Josh Allen.
No, the Texans are the 5 right now. And the Ravens and Steelers would be the 4.
Oh,
right?
that would be... a 16-13 game with 2 interceptions of Lamar Jackson if it's the Houston Texans.
I don't know. Either way, I'm not going to end up being happy. I know that.
Okay.
Even if
I probably won't be happy either when the Eagles get the Rams the first round. I'll be so sick to my stomach because the Rams do pretty well against us. So I agree with not playing the Eagles starters this weekend. I wouldn't have played them either because I think Tanner McKee and Tank and Will Shipley and these guys can beat the Commanders without like the starters. But like, I want nothing to do with the Rams.
Yeah, you'd rather be healthy for the playoffs. Mid-major Matt, am I going to see you on Monday or no?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, we'll figure out a plan. Matt, thanks as always for coming on. Good luck this week to any bets and continue that hot streak in your bowl games.
Thank you.
Remember, Matt's 17-3 in bowl season right now. Pretty freaking impressive. You can follow along at Mid-Major Matt on social media. And you can also follow everything he gives out for all of the info and analysis he has on bowl games and the college football playoff at the prepqueen.com newsletter for the Mid-Major Matt college football newsletter. Joining the show now, my very good friend who joins us every week, and he is so helpful, giving us great knowledge, Mr. Tom Vecchio. Hi, Tom. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Yes, super interesting time because we're just discussing the Ravens. Obviously, you have a ton of thoughts and a ton of feelings about that game. I would go back to what you said, and I think the Harbaugh era should be ending before Lamar. I think it's run its course. It's time to bring in a new coach and a new staff and go from there.
The problem is I love John Harbaugh, and of course he's an Andy Reid, like part of the Andy Reid coaching tree.
Yeah.
They're two of the same. Two great coaches. Harbaugh will get a job somewhere else and probably be successful. It doesn't mean he's not a good coach. It just means sometimes your era in an organization is over.
Sometimes this is just like coaches go somewhere and they have more success. Like sometimes it's like square piece, round hole kind of analogy. It's like if the coaching style and the pieces don't fit, then it doesn't matter how good the coach is, how good the quarterback and the receivers and all these players are. If they don't mesh together, then nothing's going to work. So you'd rather have the prime years of Lamar, at least in my opinion. I would say I want prime years of Lamar rather than Harbaugh at this point, because if you don't go to Lamar, I see that as a significant drop-off to whoever they would bring in.
The reason I can't have full input in this conversation, and none of us really can, if the owners and everybody else knows Lamar is the problem, then it's hard to say any coach could come in and help Lamar. That's the only concern.
It has to be the combination of the coach plus the OC.
But is Lamar going to be willing to work with anybody? Cam Newton wasn't.
Well, if Lamar has an idea of he really likes this type of OC that calls this specific type of game or has this type of offense, we've seen.
That's the question. Do the owners feel Lamar could be happy with anybody? If the answer is no, then you start to really question what Lamar's future is. That's the only way and we won't know that answer.
Of course, and there's always situations like this. We'll never know. There could be some OC out there that Lamar's I really like that guy, but he's never going to go to.
Be opposed. I know Baltimore wants to fire John. I wouldn't be opposed if they fire the OC and the DC because everyone talks the offense. The defense is a massive issue in Baltimore. Zachary Orr needs to go, and I said it last year. He saved his ass in the second half of the year. Everyone talks about Lamar in the offense. The defense has been a massive problem for an organization built on defense. So Orr needs to go, and they need to get rid of their OC. And maybe once Monken and Orr are gone, maybe you give John one more chance. But I don't know. I think a lot's going to be weighted on this game coming up on Sunday Night Football.
I would also say it depends on how the game unfolds. If you told me Lamar went out there and throws for 3 touchdowns and they happen to lose, well, then it's on the defense. And, if they lose the game 13-10, that's a different story if they lose the game 30-24.
Yeah.
Which I don't see the 30-24
with Old Man Rodgers and the Steelers.
I don't see 30-24 happening with the Steelers offense the way it's currently built or the pieces that are there.
The Ravens are going to have to answer a lot of questions. It's just felt like an absolute vomit fest. Yeah. But I want to get to your thoughts on the games tomorrow. CMC against those Seattle Seahawks. You liked
Right.
him in the passing game, and he was a big factor. I think he had 70 receiving yards in week 1.
Yeah. So I like CMC 73 to be specific for that. So the Seahawks, they've allowed 601 receiving yards to opposing running backs. That's the 6th worst in the league, right? So they're just factually bad against running backs in the receiving game. If we actually look at their recent string of results, they played, going back 5 games, they played a Minnesota team with Brosmer, who was starting quarterback, 0 offense from them. They played Atlanta, and they won that game. Very little offense, and that was a very big letdown game from Bijan. He did nothing. Indianapolis, that was when Phil Rivers started, and they moved the ball. He had like 120 yards in the air, so no one was really piling up the yards. Then they played the Rams in that crazy Thursday night game, and 200 of the passing yards went to Puka, and Kyron just wasn't involved. And then they played Carolina last week, and Bryce Young threw for 86 yards or whatever it was. So they have been this terrible against running backs in the receiving game. They're finishing the season, let's call it, in the bottom 10 of the league, the 6th most receiving yards allowed to opposing running backs. And yet they have had some of the easiest recent results you could possibly imagine. So if they had faced competent quarterback and running back play over this last 5 weeks, they would be pushing towards the bottom 3 of the league. So I'm looking at this, and I also want to note that CMC, he's not approaching a contract incentive. He is approaching a career statistical milestone where if he has 110 receiving yards, he will be the first player in NFL history to have 1,000 rushing receiving for the 2nd time. So other players have done it, but he will be the first in NFL history to do it twice. So this is not a contract thing that people like to bet into in week 18. This is a statistical milestone on top of the 49ers just need to win.
Yeah, no, they do. And it's a great way to attack the Seahawks. It has been for the last couple of years. It's pass catching backs against Seattle. They've been bottom 10 in the league in that category defensively in the last 2 seasons. CMC great at it. I, again, get nervous when it already hit in game 1. Granted, game 1 was a very long time ago at the beginning of the season. And then the question is, why not rushing plus receiving?
I mean, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I assume it's 110, 100 and whatever it is going to be for CMC. I could check real quick. Like, it's always in the 110, 115 range. Like, that's just an insane line to me to bet. What's 118? Like, I'm never betting into 118 line. That's just what it comes down to. Like, you could send me the money and I still wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, it's a high number. It makes me nervous with people like CMC because you know that they could crush it on the ground. You know they can crush it in the air. If you lose on one side because you could have just had them both, it always annoys me. But I do agree, CMC is a great matchup ahead in the passing game tomorrow against the Seahawks.
Right.
Hockey tonight. Rangers, Panthers, over 5.5.
So this is the Winter Classic game, which they're playing pseudo outdoors in.
Isn't it like in Florida?
It is in Florida. It is at the Miami Marlins Park, Lone Depot Park. So it's covered right now. They said that they're going to be opening the roof, whatever that means. But, this is really just a matchup historically that we have seen fly over totals. So over their last 10 games that these two teams have played, not including the conference finals matchup from a couple of years ago, over the last 9 games, we've seen them finish with at least 6 goals 9 times. And, the Rangers defense really has been amazing. The Panthers offense are starting to get a little bit healthier. They're starting to score. I'm really expecting 2 goals out of the Rangers tonight. Maybe they push to 3 if there's some chippiness and there's some, extra power play opportunities. But I'm expecting 2 goals from the Rangers, 3 from the Panthers, and then really that potential empty net to put the Panthers ahead. It's also, I don't want to say like I'm buying into the narrative like it's an outdoor game, quote unquote, but like this is a spectacle for the league. So like let's go out there and put on a show. Like it's great to see games end like 2-1 or 1-0 when games matter the most, but like let's get out there and have some fun. Let's score some goals tonight.
How much does the neutral site impact your handicap?
Not a whole lot. The only thing that would impact it is more of the ice quality. So we have seen outdoor games and the ice quality be bad when they played at, it was Colorado versus Vegas, and they played at Lake whatever.
I remember. It looked beautiful.
It looked great, but the sun, the quality of the ice was bad because the sun, oddly enough, the sun impacts ice. Who would have thought that? But if like the quality of the ice is bad, that would impact things, and that would honestly tilt things in favor of it being a lower scoring game because the players just can't skate. The puck's not moving. It's not moving smoothly and or as fast as it normally does. And then either team would win that game 1-0, 2-1. That would be the worst quality thing. So frankly, they should be keeping the roof closed and they should not be exposing it to outdoor elements. And then that would bring us the best game.
Well, it's in Miami. It's nighttime. So
right. It's going to be in the 50s or 60s, they said. But still, that if you could have it the roof closed, you could make it cooler and just keep it as best contained and as under control as you possibly could.
Any props that stand out for this matchup?
You want to take some shots with some goal scorers, that's fine. Brad Marchand is a player that I generally look to in big moments. He is plus 160. I think that's totally fine. FanDuel's a boost. You could throw it on that. But it's looking to someone like him that, he may not have a ton of shots, but if he does shoot, there's a chance that's a goal. I would rather play goals than shot props tonight.
I love it. Tom Vecchio, thank you as always. Always giving us some great insight. I have to figure out why my thing isn't sending to our next guest and Steve Merril. I don't know why my link isn't sending in my Twitter DM, so I'm going to figure that out. Tom_Vecchio1 is where you can find him. And do you have an anytime touchdown score for NFL or not? You're not going to dabble in that?
Terry McLaurin and who was the other guy in my eye on? Betting on contract incentives for those. So Terry, Hollywood Brown, and I think that's where my list ends thus far.
Hollywood Brown for me as well. And I have to see, did you see the odds on it this week? It was 9-1 last week.
Hollywood, I think he was, I just saw it before, 360, 340, 390, somewhere around there. Okay. They're playing the Raiders, obviously. The road favorite was the touchdown, 340.
Okay. So, I have to go bet it. I said 2 weeks ago I was betting it every week. I should have hit 9-1 last week. I should have. It went right through his hands. Anyway, Tom Vecchio, thank you as always. Happy New Year. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and Matt Reichel said it. Sign up for me and Kelly's Survivor contest on Splash Sports. You can find it at splashsports.com/Kelly in Vegas, and you'll see it on her page. It's the NFL Survivor for the playoffs. You have to do, I think it's like 2 entries for wild card. You'll see it all on this thing, but it's just $25, and the winner for Survivor makes $50K. So if you survive to the end, you get $50K. It's guaranteed. We need everybody to go and sign up for the Survivor contest, the NFL Playoff Survivor contest. Survivor doesn't have to end because the regular season does. Waiting on Steve Merril to join the show. He was coming on to talk NBA. I tried to send him on Twitter DMs the link, but for some reason it is not going through on X, and I don't know why, and I haven't heard back from him. Thanks guys though, by the way, for knowing that the show has good info on it. I have propaganda, so I'll bring propaganda on while we wait for Steve Merril to join the show. I'm trying to see if he got the link. Sorry, this is the part that stinks. Did you get it? It's the part that's really tough about producing and doing a show at the same time. Propaganda for NFL. I have NBA and NHL as well, so I'll tell you guys that. Oh, you guys just asked in the chat. Look at this. You asked about Tony Pollard. I'm going to tell you about Tony Pollard. Let's start with propaganda. Look at this. Tony Pollard needs 66 rushing yards to earn $250,000 in Week 18. The Titans running backs averaging 113 rushing yards over his last 4 games. 75% of money is on the over 68.5 rushing yards. So if you would like to be on the side of the public with everybody knowing about the Tony Pollard trend, then there you go. There you go. I'll give you guys two. Let's see. NFL Week 18. Oh, they didn't do props. But I'll show you Week 18, BetMGM. Oh, Steve Merrill's on. Let me just get you guys this. And this for NFL BetMGM. Most bet spread. Niners. Sorry, Mark. Panthers, Bears, Ravens, Bills. Most bet spreads with money. Niners, Bears, Panthers, same thing. Most bet totals. Seahawks, Niners over. Ravens, Steelers under. Panthers, Bucks over. Saints, Falcons over. And the last one, Cowboys, Giants under 50. That tells me Lamar's going to play. It's going to be a shootout in Pittsburgh, and it will not surprise me if that's the case. Our next guest is coming on. We're going to talk some NBA, and I've got NBA propaganda for him, actually. So I'm curious what his thoughts might be. Let me just get a snapshot of it. We'll see what Steve Merril thinks about Friday NBA and see if he agrees with the public. Steve Merril joining the show right now. Hi, Steve. Happy Friday and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Ariel. Haven't seen you since last year. My goodness. It's been a while.
I know. Mark's made the same comment. He said the same thing in the chat. He was a little bit late. Mark said the same thing. It's great to have you. You've been on an absolute tear. Did you get a new haircut?
Yes. High and tight, feeling quicker, moving faster.
That's important.
It's freezing out, right? I had to get less hair because it's colder and then longer hair in the summer. Doing it backwards.
Oh, okay. Contrarian. Let's
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this because you've got long hair. I can only imagine how long. It probably takes you no time whatsoever. What am I saying? That would be an insult. It takes you no time to get ready.
No,
but
none. I never complain about how.
I will say I'm adding 5 minutes to my life every day because there's like no wetting down the afro when I have to do shows and dead serious.
It's nice to just hop on a camera, not have
but like a week ago when it's 4 or 5 weeks long, like it's a process. It's not probably what you all go through with the long hair, but it's a process.
Short hair in the winter, contrarian thinking, which is why we have you on the show, because I'm very curious. Oh, no, hold on. I'm adding the NBA. So we have this segment called Propaganda, where I talk about the most bet on props of the day, the most bet on sides. Then the question is, do we fade the public or are they right? Tonight in the NBA, some of the most bet on teams, Bucks, Nets, Spurs, Knicks, Thunder. Are you playing contrarian in any of those?
I like the Nets, actually. I think that's one you mentioned, right? And by the way,
well, that's the most bet on side. So do you disagree with any of the public sides?
I'm not necessarily in favor of the other ones. The ones I would say, you're saying the Nets are bet on, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I would agree with that public side. So I wouldn't look to fade the public there. And what's interesting about that one is, last week when I was on Friday, I think like a week ago, I mentioned how the Wizards might have some value going forward. And they had a blowout win that night. It was maybe 2 Fridays ago. And then, no, it was actually last Friday because then last Sunday I came back with them as the best bet for my clients and they covered as well. So fading that tonight, though, because now the Wizards are laying 3.5. I don't think the Wizards are necessarily the type of team you should be backing as a favorite. So I would agree with the public with the Nets. Nothing crazy on those other ones. It's a huge NBA card tonight, though. Will be interesting to see if the Oklahoma City Thunder, how they do. We've talked about them the last couple of times I've been on. 13.5. That line was 5.5 look ahead, and now it's 13.5 at Golden State due to players not in.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's out, correct?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you see it go from 5.5 to 13.5. Some key guys are out, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how little incentive any of these teams really. That's the problem with the NBA, Steve. If the Warriors are welcoming in the reigning champs, normally that should be a big spot for big ticket sales.
Oh, it's awful.
No one cares.
Well, it's even worse for the Eastern Conference teams because I would assume they probably play twice. Well, they only play maybe 3 times, so that might be the only game in Golden State. But at most, there's only one more visit. But take it to another level, like LeBron's kind of on the outside looking in now. But say LeBron in his heyday, or even Jordan, the Lakers would come to Washington, to D.C. here, my neck of the woods, once a year, right? And you buy those tickets months in advance. They want to see LeBron, and then he's load management, game time decision. It's a huge problem for the NBA, and I don't know. Do you have a solution? I mean, I've heard ideas, but none of them are really good, and I don't know what the solution is. You can't, and all the guy's got to say is my ankle hurts, right? You can't dispute that. So if I know
we'd have to fix personality problems. We can't do that. Nobody cares.
How about this, Eric? How about it? Well, I'll tell you the solution, and it's never going to this, but I'd like this for any sport for decades now: incentive-based contracts. How about you earn what you do, right? The problem is when these guys are getting hundreds of millions. They do have a lot of
contracts where you have to play a percentage amount, like a certain amount of time, X amount of playing time. Joey Bosa actually this week in the NFL has that in his contract. he has to play 67%, and he's at like 66.2 or something.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I like that, though. By the way, you should be a litigator as your side hustle, because we did this last week with the prop incentive-based contract props, which I love. And,
yeah.
I think you're getting very good at reading these legal documents, it sounds like.
No, I tried it for my dad. I was miserable. I do want to get your approach on something. Denver Nuggets going to be for the next 4 weeks without their star, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
He hyperextended his knee. They avoided ligament damage. How do we approach the Nuggets? I mean, they're literally catching 14 tonight at the Cavs.
We talked about them, I think, a couple weeks ago as well. I said, the Nuggets really didn't take the regular season serious last year and how they were off to a faster start this year. I guess I jinxed them, because this is exactly why you don't take the regular season serious, is because you can't afford to lose superstars. With that said, though, if you're going to have it happen, you want it to happen in late December, early January. You got plenty of time. You do worry about the mindset, but as you know, if you've just blindly played these shorthanded teams, you probably have made more money than you've lost the last several years, because these lines get completely out of whack. And even with Jokic out, the opener was 10. Now it's 14. I mean, it's even skying higher. A lot of good players still in the NBA, and all these guys were high school All-Americans, college All-Stars. They can all score in their sleep. And I think a lot of times the bigger favorites sometimes become a little complacent as well. So I'd probably lean towards Denver now at this point. I think 13.5, 14 starting to look a little pricey.
Another player who's out tonight, a star player, Trae Young, out for the Hawks. It also looks like Karl-Anthony Towns is questionable with an illness, so we're unsure of him. Knicks at the Garden, laying 7. Normally, this is a great Hawk spot. Trae Young loves to perform at Madison Square Garden. He loves to be the enemy, and there's no Trae Young tonight. Is it too many points, though, still laying 7 with the Knicks?
It's tough because Trae Young, like you said, is the Knick killer. I mean, he's the guy that really does step up at MSG over the years. I will preface, by the way, when I'm saying playing with the star player out, I think it works best like when it's sudden and teams don't have time to prep and other guys kind of step up. When it lingers like Jokic's is, it might not work game after game. I think this is a situation where even if Cat's out, I like the Knicks. They're just a more talented team and deeper. And I know I always say, you take the adjusted line value, but I'm not sure this one's been adjusted enough. Not a lot of interest in the Hawks without Trae Young.
Yeah, especially there at the Garden. I also saw, what was the other team I was eyeing? Oh, the Bucks. So the Bucks, 14-20 on the season. They are at the 11th seed in the East right now, 4-6 in their last 10. And the Bucks are laying 6 against the Charlotte Hornets. How much do you trust the Bucks?
Not much. I mean, you just gave the numbers right there. This is a team you got to be careful with. And this segues actually to the NFL regular season as well. Teams don't quit. I've always said that, this whole must win scenario. I went back and looked last week, Ariel. If you took the 6 games, I believe there were 6, unless I missed one. There were 6 games last week in which a non-playoff team was playing a team still in contention. Those non-playoff teams went 5-1 against the spread last week. The only one by my count was the Jets getting blown out by the Patriots. Falcons upset the Rams, who didn't necessarily have much to play for. But I bring that up because there aren't usually teams that toss the towel this season, but the ones that normally do are teams that have been perennial winners maybe and kind of know it's already over before it is. And you got to wonder about the Bucks this year. As you said, 14-20 straight up, world champs just a few years ago. This could get ugly this season, whereas Charlotte 11-22, they are what we thought they would be. They're not good. But I'm not in a hurry to lay points with the Milwaukee Bucks right now. This is a team that I think when all is said and done this year is going to be a pretty big money burner in the NBA just because it's one of those powerful giants in recent years that's really fallen fast. We saw that, by the way, with the Patriots a couple seasons ago, and now they've obviously rebounded. But, teams that have championship-level play for several years and then have a little bit of a downturn, those are the ones I worry more about tossing the towel than a team like, say, the Charlotte Hornets, who are never good.
Who gets traded first, Trae Young or Giannis Antetokounmpo?
I mean, my gut tells me honest because I think the Hawks have more upside still. That's the only reason I'd say maybe the Hawks hang on longer. But I'd have to there again. You'd have to litigate for them. You'd have to read through the legal documents and see which one would be more costly.
I'm so bad at that. I don't know why you think I'm good. The only thing I'm good at is being sassy and having attitude, scaring people. That's what I'm better at.
I like Trae Young, by the way. I'm a big Trae Young fan, and I would rather have him on my team. He's just a better shooter. I'm big on shooting, and I know he's smaller. He's a guard, but I still think he's got more upside here in the near future for the next 5-6 years.
Kings only said Giannis to the Lakers. Well, the Lakers are playing tonight. It's one of the shortest spreads on this board. Even though it's a big board, it is a terrible board of games. Lakers, the late game against the Grizzlies. They're in LA, laying 4, total very high, 240.5. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like the Lakers in this one. I think this is a good spot to use LA here. And obviously it's a team that has its ups and downs this season as well. I mentioned LeBron earlier. I think it's kind of on the outside of his career. This is Doncic's team, obviously, now, and it's been a different team here in recent weeks. But I think this is a good spot. And I also am not in a hurry to back the Grizzlies in a basic straight-up win situation. They've got a long injury list as well. They've got 6-7 guys listed as out currently on the injury list. I think it's a good spot for the Lakers. And a lot of these teams are rested, focus spots. When that's the case, I'd rather play the better team. And I feel like LA is the better team here. And as you said, it's a short line, which means it's pretty much a straight-up win situation. I look for the Lakers here to get back on track. They've lost 4 of their last 5 straight up, but they've also been a dog in most of those games. They're only like a 1-point favorite against the Clippers. The one game in which they were favored by more than a basket was a 24-point win against Sacramento a couple games back, and I think this is a similar setup tonight. Oh, by the way, real quick, this is a quick home and home. Not even back at Memphis on Sunday. They play, I believe, in LA again on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So you could also dig into this box score and maybe find a little zigzag angle to use in Sunday's rematch.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you do approach the NBA that way.
Oh, yeah.
The zigzag theory, because I do for props. So if you do it the same for sides and totals.
Yeah, I think it might have been Kelly actually last week. I was doing last call on Saturday, and I'll be on tomorrow with her. She called you her best friend, by the way. I didn't know.
That's so sweet. She probably wouldn't say that today. We got in a fight. It's fine, though. We
Yeah, you got to remind her then when you're making up. She did. True story. Last Saturday, I forget how it came up. It's something about my best friend or something. Talking about it might have been Ravens and some other team or something. I was like, and I said, "Is Ariel your best friend?" Because I thought she meant you, but I didn't know for sure. And she said yes on live TV.
Wow. See,
as you said, that was last year.
That
was 2025
her from my phone because she sent something about. I'm not even going to say. I don't like, but she sent something that she knows that I get triggered by illness, and she sent something about illness to the chat, and I was going to kill her. I was like, I'm not afraid of death, but I will kill you.
You don't like illness, but you're not afraid of death.
Correct. I'm afraid of suffering. So I told
that's
her
like me.
I'm going to make her suffer.
I hate sand, but I don't mind the beach. So there's a lot of I get that.
It's not about the finale. It's about the end. It's about getting there. Like, you could have a good ending, but if the rest of the movie sucks, that'd be terrible.
That is true.
Like,
she called you her best friend. As of a week ago, you were her best friend, which I thought was great. Hopefully that'll still.
Last year, Mark, last year I was Kelly's best friend. This year, I'm not so sure.
Do you want me to ask her tomorrow when I'm doing last call if she's your best friend? I'll ask her if 2026
Are you still Ariel's best friend? Because she said that it might be a question mark now.
I was trying to think where I was going with this whole thing. Oh, I know what it was. She asked me about not the zigzag. She asked me, I don't know what it was, but I said, and I'll say it to you, is my desert island sport to handicap. If I was on a desert island, I could only do one sport for the year, would be the NBA playoffs. That's how I was thinking. That's how my mind works. That's yours? Yeah, because, and the reason being is kind of what we're talking about here, the zigzag. I just, year in to year out for the 30 years I've been doing this now, it holds up every year because you get a 7-game series. Teams make adjustments. The other teams don't make the adjustments. You get misleading box scores, whether it's sides, totals, player props. In fact, the only time all year I talk props in my videos, Ariel, are the NBA playoffs. I did every NBA playoff game last year, and I dug deep into the props, and I love using the zigzag for props like you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And what I look for mainly is shot attempts, minutes played, and extreme outcomes one way or the other. Where a guy's 0 for 7 from three-point range, but he played 40 minutes. And it works so well because
against the bad perimeter defense, it probably shouldn't happen again the next game.
Right. Exactly right. That's the thing you got to make sure is there's not an outlier, like it's a really bad matchup for that particular player. But, then you look at maybe the regular season games or a game earlier in that series where he did fine. But then you get 2 or 3 of those in a row, and it's almost like a progression bet, right? You maybe sprinkle it the next game, and if it doesn't hit, you come back even stronger in the next game. And that works really well. And that's
talking props. It does well in the regular season, too. I know that it's not always close games, but it somehow does tend to work.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the regular season. I steer away from the props because I'm so busy with college basketball as well, football now, 4 major sports. There's only one Steve Merril. Wouldn't it be great if there were 2 Steve Merrils?
We dominate.
Hey, why 2? Let's get 3. Let's just start
one for each sport.
One for each sport. You thought exactly what I was about to say. I need 5 Steve Merrils because I do 5 sports.
Hey, listen, with AI these days, you never know.
Hey, I love my AI.
Me too,
AI is
but
making
don't
things
use it for
easy.
betting. It's still very stupid when it comes to betting, and it's stupid when it comes to knowing updated information.
Correct. Hey, have you used Perplexity? Have you used that one?
No.
Yeah, so there's 3 that I use, and Perplexity is one of the 3, and it's a little bit better on real-time stuff. It's a little more like a Google type. I'll tell you what's been working best for me for like the bowl games with these opt-outs and whatnot is just straight old Google. And it kicks into Gemini. I'm really liking Gemini. I've been using that more. I feel like Perplexity is okay, but I actually think Google's better. So you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's been pretty good on these bowl games. And, of course, you can click on news as well with Google when you do a search. That sometimes
when I was researching Jimmy Butler and it said he was on the Miami Heat, I knew.
Yeah, hey, it does that all the time to me. I was doing previews for college football this fall when I really started to test the AI platforms. And I would do it in all 3 that I was using. And a couple of them would give me kind of relevant stuff. And one of them was like a Boise State game, had last year's quarterback. And so then you quickly correct it. You're like, I want this year. He's in the NFL. You are correct. I'm like, well, then why did you tell me in the first? It can't admit that it's wrong. The hallucinations is a real thing with AI. And trust but verify. That was Ronald Reagan's greatest line ever. Trust but verify. And that's something you got to do big time with the AI and cross-reference it. But you're right. Yeah, for sports betting and real-time information, it is not there yet. And I thought Grok would be better since it's Twitter, basically. And Twitter's great with the real-time information, but Grok does not do a good job of searching X, which I can't quite figure that out yet.
Maybe one day, but today we still have jobs, and we have jobs for a reason, and you do. Steve Merril, you're great at what you do. Steve, thank you so much, as always, for joining on the show. And at YouTube, follow him over at WagerTalk. His videos absolutely crush it. You have anything posted or anything you want to promote?
I'm actually going to... since the hair's looking good and the WagerTalk hoodie is on, I'm going to do the Fade the Public video right after this, actually. And I saw you giving some of that consensus at. I'm going to have to rewind this and look at what you were talking about when I came on. This is a very tricky week, as you can imagine, to get public data because you're seeing lines that are just touchdowns different than what they would be. So once again, trust but verify this week as well with the public data.
Especially week 18. Steve Merril, thanks as always.
Good luck to your Ravens. I did a video on that game.
Thanks.
It's going to be posted tomorrow.
Watch his video. Don't watch mine. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, don't watch me talk about the Ravens. You guys know I get pissed off. Even if they win, I'll be pissed. Whatever. The Ravens are the Ravens, and they might win this week. They might make the playoffs, and then they'll lose. They're not going to the Super Bowl. Not this team. I told you guys that I will show you a little preview if you haven't seen it already. I said it at the beginning of the show. I gave out this free NFL Week 18 cheat sheet early in the week. It has every, not only incentive game-wise for a team to play, it also has contract incentives all in one place. I'll share my screen and I will show you guys exactly what it looks like. And this way, if you want it, you could go, you have to subscribe to thepropqueen.com. You can get it for free, but you have to subscribe to thepropqueen.com newsletter. Click newsletter and then sign up, give your email, and you could download, it'll be on the main page. You could download this cheat sheet there once you are a subscriber. Again, it's free. Oh, I forgot this doesn't let me show PDFs. Hold on one second. Damn it. Okay, I will take snapshots of it, and I will post snapshots. Oh, this is so annoying. Why does StreamYard not let us show PDFs? Makes no sense. I'm just going to show Saturday's games, and you guys can see. And then I've also got a prop that you guys have to bet. Have to. Let me just upload these real quick. 1, 2, and 4 slides. Mark, don't spoil it. This is what the NFL cheat sheet looks like. I have every game posted schedule by schedule. So you can see the Saturday slate, Sunday, and Sunday Night Football with my Ravens. Panthers at Bucks. What's at stake? The division and a chance to go to the playoffs. Panthers win the division with a win or a tie. Atlanta wins, or Orlando wins versus New Orleans. Bucks win the division with a win and Atlanta loss against New Orleans. Only Carolina and Tampa, only one can get in the playoffs. Can't be both. Contract incentives. Rico Dowdle needs 7 scrimmage yards to make $1 million and 2 touchdowns to make $250K. Tampa's wide receiver Sterling Shepard needs 1 reception to make $125K. Seahawks 49ers, what's at stake? San Fran wins the number 1 seed with a win. Seattle wins the 1 seed with a win or a tie. Both teams are in the playoffs anyway. The loser is a wild card. Contract incentive. Sam Darnold, he needs 3 passing touchdowns to make $500K. 150 passing yards makes him $500K. 67.5 completion percentage makes him $500K. He's currently at 67.2. Maybe we see some of those running back dump offs. So Sam Darnold can up that completion percentage. Seattle's linebacker Uchenna Nwosu needs 2 sacks to make $500K. DeMarcus Lawrence needs 2 sacks to make $250K. And Jason Myers, the kicker for the Seahawks, he has an 85% field goal percentage from the 40 to 49 yard range. He makes $375K with that percentage. So he's still there. Like, he's right there. He just can't miss field goals. Don't miss any more field goals. Mr. Jason Myers. I didn't love any props for the Bucks and Panthers game. The ones that stood out to me already hit a couple of weeks ago. So that's why I was a little worried about betting them again. You guys know I do not like to bet the same thing happen twice, especially if it just happened a couple of weeks ago. I said it was fishy, that Bryce Young's number is 29, 38.5 for pass attempts. He's up against the Bucs team that has struggled against the pass this year, but it's bad weather conditions potentially in Tampa tomorrow. And Bryce Young had 32 in the last game, so I think that's a little fishy. I also liked his rushing yards, but I think he went over that the last game as well. But you could look to the rushing yards for Bryce Young. I'm trying to think of anything else. Cade Otton I wanted to like because the Panthers struggle against tight ends, but Cade Otton actually does better on the road this year than at home. The prop that I loved the most this weekend, outside of Hollywood Brown, that's on Sunday. Hollywood Brown to score a touchdown. We're betting it again. 3 straight weeks. We got to make we've got to make the money. They're up against the Raiders. The Raiders don't want to play. That's in the contract incentive book, by the way. So if you get the contract incentive book, thepropqueen.com, you'll see it. My favorite bet tomorrow is my Royal Luck. Best bet of the day tomorrow, as long as he plays, is Mr. George Kittle. I've got to get you guys the props.cash. Just so you can see on props.cash, this man's longest reception prop, we've talked about it before on the show. George Kittle at home in prime time, last 10 games. Look at this. 9 of the last 10. And look at this. Last 20. 13 of the last 16 games at home in prime time. George Kittle has gone over his longest reception prop of 20.5. This is the Royal Lock of tomorrow. Even if it loses, we've been so profitable betting home primetime games, George Kittle over longest reception. Every time I don't want to bet it, I say I have to bet it because it ends up cashing most of the time. We are in this for the long game. We are not in this to just play it small and play it short. We are here for the long game. And 9 of the last 10 George Kittle games have gone over his longest reception prop at home in prime time. It's a must-win game. They want to win the number 1 seed, have that place. Everything is going through San Fran this year. That's what they want. George Kittle at home in prime time. That's the man to turn to. That's the Royal Lock of the weekend. I also struggled with that game prop-wise because I said I don't like to bet the same result in two matchups, but these two played like week 1. So I don't know how much I could really care about what happened in week 1, but I might, whatever. Anyway, that's my only concern. Otherwise, George Kittle and Hollywood Brown. Those are the 2 props that I am definitely betting for the weekend. I will have more at the propqueen.com newsletter for a full slate. And anything else? I'll have another guide and cheat sheet too out probably for the NFL Week 18 slate. So if you guys want that, check out the newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll be able to get that action as well. I have to go to dinner. Good luck to all your bets today, tomorrow, Sunday. I'll be on Last Call on WagerTalk on Sunday. We'll be back here on the Prop Queen Pod on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Mid-Major Matt, Tom Vecchio, Steve Merril all joined the show today. We talked college football, NFL, NHL, NBA, we got you covered on every single sport in action. If you miss any of it, you can go to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Media. I'm about to cut up all those segments right now, and I will be putting them on the YouTube page. In case you missed it, you will see it with all the time codes, anything, any game that you might have missed. We'll make sure that you get the action you need. Good luck. See you guys in a few.